All right, folks. Meanwhile, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul telling Fox News that he believes he would have been killed if it were not for police last night. This is when he and his wife were surrounded and attacked by a mob after he left the White House. This also has Kenosha, Wisconsin, witnessing a fifth night of protests over the police shooting of Jacob Blake. I'm going to bring in Fox Nation host David Webb, Democratic strategist Kevin Walling. And, you know, David, I just think that this excessive violence and the in-your-face sort of things that are happening to people, they're being shouted at as they eat at restaurants, they're being physically touched and manhandled. The things they said to Rand Paul's wife, we can't even begin to repeat them right here. I don't see how this helps the Democrats at all.
Well, because it doesn't, and now the Democrats are afraid of it, Charles. And just think, earlier in the day in Black Lives Matter Plaza, a white man, an elderly white man, was punched and knocked down, beaten by the crowd as he was just simply walking through the plaza. There's video of that. This is about using a race issue to advance a leftist agenda. And here's what's happened for the Democrats now. Kenosha, Wisconsin is the middle of the country. It's the Midwest. You look at a city between Chicago and Milwaukee of 100,000 that is being destroyed. Kenosha is dying because with that size city and that scope of damage, how do they recover? So now Joe Biden and the Democrats have to look at it and say, how do we pull back, or how does Joe Biden come out of his basement? Well, too late, Joe, because America now sees it's no longer the wings of the country.
And Kevin, I know that Democrats reject this notion, but I do want to share with you a headline from Politico. I think it was yesterday. It says, playing into Trump's hands, Dems fear swing state damage from Kenosha unrest. Some Wisconsin Democrats worry that the images of violence and destruction will turn suburban voters against the party. You know, Kevin, we heard President Trump mention the suburbs several times in his acceptance speech. I don't think it's any secret that people are worried about big city violence.
I think they are, Charles. I think they're, in addition, still very concerned about COVID-19 in this country, especially in the suburbs, in our urban communities. But I think to your point, Charles, Kellyanne Conway, senior advisor to President Trump, laid it out pretty clearly. She said that the more that we see violence on the streets, the better it is for the Trump campaign. Because I do think you see the president playing up this.
That's a flat-out lie, and you know it is.
That's what she said, David. That's what she said.
That is a shortened clip of her content. No, I can't let that stand.
I did not interrupt you.
I cannot let that stand.
Yes, I will interrupt a lie. Foolishness about the left.
I will interrupt a lie, which is what you're telling here on national television.
Okay. That is what
you're telling a lie.
I just want to jump in for 1 second, though. Kevin, forgetting about what Kellyanne Conway said for a moment, I want you to stick to the idea that this kind of violence in these cities that are run by Democrats, does it help the party? I mean, it can't be helping the party.
I don't think it helps anyone. I don't think it helps this country in terms of healing. I think, as you rightly point out, Charles, with Julia Jackson's statement that was so moving just the other day in that press conference, we need more of that. And you saw the former vice president really elevating that voice in the dialogue in terms of calling for peace on the streets. I don't think it's a good political calculation on either side to ratchet up the violence in this country.
Kevin, is
whether
this one of the
it be
reasons
directed on the streets, whether it be directed on the streets of Kenosha, or whether it be directed at Rand Paul last night, we need to condemn it across the board and ratchet down the heat in this country across the board.
Right.
Well, we ratcheted it down by not telling lies as you just did on television. Period. End of story.
Let me just stop this. We got 30 seconds. Kevin, is this one of the reasons? Kevin, is this one of the reasons then Biden has decided he needs to get to the Midwest? Because it does feel like the Democrats did not touch this at all during their convention, and it is getting worse. Okay. Let's leave it there. Listen, I wish we had more time. I love when you guys get I love the passion. I love the passion, and this is serious stuff, right? This is really serious stuff. David, Kevin, thank you both very much.